And then what we do is we record an entry price, and the entry price is basically our current price. Any questions, Josh?
More like a general one. So you mentioned that, like, this is like it always moves between the bounds. Is that for all asset classes, or?
Yes, whatever product or asset you take, you will always see the same behavior. That it sort of moves. It's not actually always moving right between the bounds. So it does break out. So for example, if we take, let's define a look back, say 200, and then we make our bounds a bit narrower. The default value, remember, was 2, but let's do 1. You can see that actually here it's actually above the bound for the whole time. Okay, just because it's a longer look back and it's a narrow band. If we make our band 2, then it might actually be within the band most of the time. Okay, so now it's within the band. Okay, and then if we make our look back, or if we make our price plotting longer, you will actually see the same thing, that it starts oscillating again. See, in this case, it's mostly in the upper band. So that's, depending on how you define your Bollinger Bands, it has certain properties. So in this case, for example, you could say, well, if it breaks from the upper band below this and then goes through the green, we put on a trade. In this case, it would be a short trade. Okay, so let's just do what we're doing here, and we stick with the longer trades, with the long only trades for now. So we can say if impulse equals 1, which is if we have a long trade, and prices of I are above the mid. And in this case, we don't really need to say below or above, because once we cross through the mid, we're automatically exiting. We don't wait for this to reverse. In the previous case, we actually waited for this to reverse, but now we don't do that. Okay, we're just exiting when it crosses through the mid. And then what we do is, of course, we set our impulse to 0. And then we can say, well, our P&L is the current price minus our entry price. So one thing we can also do is, instead of calculating this, we can calculate a percentage P&L, which is basically this divided by our entry price. Okay, this is our percentage P&L. Okay, and then what we can do is we can log all these, so we can say P&Ls equals this. Now I want to come back to the default values here for our Bollinger Bands. So what we're calculating here is what's called a realized P&L. And so we're only recording a P&L once we're actually making a profit. And so one of the interesting things that we might also want to do is we want to record the dates or the indices. So we just call them IDXS. So what we can do is here IDXS.append I. Okay. Now if we run this, we get an invalid because we forgot in. Okay. And here we actually need a comma rather than this. Okay, so now we've actually run our backtest and we can plot this.